Kenneth and his sister Rihanna followed him. Creole also adopted Norma Lindsay, hence the family ultimately consisted of 5 siblings. Davine was affectionately called Day Day by the family and friends, and Johnnie and Kenneth were widely known as JJ and KK by all of their family, friends, and neighbors. Rihanna and Norman would be called Baby Ray and Norm as they were growing up. At the time of his birth, it was discovered that Johnnie had a hole in his heart. As a result of this medical condition, he was a very frail child and had to spend the first 8 weeks of his life in the hospital. The medical prognosis was that the hole in Johnnie's heart would eventually close as he grew older, and this appears to have indeed been the case. Because of Johnnie's early medical challenge, he was confined to the house for the early portion of his childhood. While his brothers and sisters roamed the great outdoors, Johnnie was forced to stay inside. This led to his discovery of the world of books. Johnnie's love of books was nurtured by both his mom, Creola, and his grandmother, Lillian Ruth McKinney, who were also avid readers. His uncle, after whom he was named and who lived in the United States, would also bring him lots of books. Johnnie's love of books became insatiable, and he remained an avid reader for the duration of his life. Johnnie attended Easton Senior School at the R.M. Bailey High School. After leaving R.M. Bailey, he worked for a year and saved sufficient funds to eventually attend Aquinas College. He spent 2 years at Aquinas College, graduating in June of 1976. After graduation from Aquinas College, Johnnie worked for a brief period at Bahamas Air before moving into the construction field, where he acquired the skills of a carpenter. After becoming one of Jehovah's Witnesses, Johnnie entered the full-time preaching work as a regular pioneer and supported himself by working part-time in the jewelry industry. Johnnie's initial contact with Jehovah's Witnesses occurred early in his life. While still a pre-teenager in the late 1960s, he would sit with his maternal grandmother, Lillian Ruth McKinney, as she engaged in Bible discussions with Sister Betty Jane Van Dalen, who was serving as a missionary in the Bahamas at the time, along with her husband, Emil Van Dalen. The study with Johnnie's grandmother continued for some time, and as Johnnie and Rihanna were also showing an interest in the discussions, Sister Van Dalen decided to turn the 2 youngsters over to Brother Cordell Knowles. A study was started with Johnnie in the Truth Book, and his inquiring mind led him to immediately recognize the ring of truth in what he was learning. Unfortunately, Johnnie did not progress to the point of dedication and baptism at that point, as there were some other forces at work in his life which succeeded in pulling him in another direction. With the passage of time, Johnnie was again contacted by the witnesses, and Sister Arabella Johnson called on him while going from door to door. This was during a campaign to offer subscriptions to the Watchtower magazine. Johnnie immediately accepted the subscription offer, and Sister Johnson made a return visit a week later on him. Johnnie also took on a subscription to the Awake magazine, and this led to the offer of a Bible study, which he readily accepted once again. Brother Bruce Johnson Sr. was invited to accompany Arabella on the call, and eventually he assumed responsibility for the study and successfully aided Johnnie to the point of dedication and baptism. Johnnie symbolized his dedication to Jehovah by water baptism on May 9th, 1982. He would have been about 26 at the time. Johnnie took to the truth like the proverbial duck to water. He loved serving Jehovah and engaging in the preaching work. Approximately 2 years after his baptism, he entered the full-time ministry as a regular pioneer and remained in this branch of service for many years. He assisted several persons to the point of dedication and baptism, and he never shied away from witnessing to anyone. He also made sure that anyone that he encountered knew of his stance as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Johnnie also enjoyed the privilege of serving as an elder in the congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses for several years. This avenue of service brought his love for people even more to the fore. Older as well as younger members of the congregation sought his scriptural advice on matters and were extremely comfortable in talking with him about their problems. This concern for the brother had spread beyond the confines of his immediate congregation, as Johnnie had close personal relationships with brothers and sisters in many congregations throughout the Bahamas. The tremendous outpouring of sympathy that followed the news of his death was a clear evidence of the fact that many of the brothers and sisters held him in high esteem and severely felt the blow of having lost a near and dear friend.
I don't know what the attendance is today, standing room only. But every single one of us in here has a story about Johnnie. What was written in the obituary is but a word of the life of Johnnie Smith and the man that he was. But your presence here today speaks volumes. The thing is, that no matter what we say about Johnnie here today, it matters little to Johnnie. Johnnie can't hear a word. Johnnie he has finished his course. He has run the race. So if Johnnie can't hear anything that we are saying about him, then why are we here? Well, there is the obvious reason that we want to do our brother right by proper Christian burial. That's one of the reasons. Another reason is because, well, we want to help the family to have some closure, and not just the family. We think about the brothers in the immediate congregation that Johnnie served. You know, I was doing quite well until I got in here this afternoon. And I said to one of the brothers on his body, "How are you doing?" And he said, "Please don't ask me." He couldn't talk, and you know, that kind of emotional stuff transfers, right? So there is this weight of grief that many are feeling, and that's another reason we are here, because we want to give some closure, but we also want to provide some comfort. So that's the first reason we want to talk about this matter of comfort. To help us to do that, please go with me in your Bibles to the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 1. 2 Corinthians chapter 1. And read along with me, please, verses 3 and 4. There the Apostle Paul writes, "Praised be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of tender mercies, and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our trials, so that we may be able to comfort others in any sort of trial with the comfort that we receive from God." So one of the things we are here for is to give some comfort to Rihanna, to Devan, to Kenneth, to Norman, rest of the Simmons family. And to those of us who knew Johnnie well, as we mourn, we need to be able to be a comfort to one another. We have to be able to help each other to get through all of this. And so, what Jehovah is doing for us is he's inviting each one of us to be the vessel or the vehicle through which this comfort is delivered. Now, Jehovah can deliver comfort in many ways. He knows how to do it. In fact, the Phillips translation, that same verse that we read, it doesn't call him the God of comfort. It calls him the God who supplies comfort. And Jehovah has comfort in no short supply. There's a lot to go around. But one of the things that he wants us to do as his servants is he wants us to be the ones who administers the comfort in this situation. So, can he do it? Yes, he can. How do we know he can do it? He's been doing it for thousands of years, brothers. Thousands of years. Our Heavenly Father has been administering comfort to his children, his servants, all over the world as the need arises and in any circumstances. So he's called the God of all comfort. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Jehovah knows how to comfort us. I'll give you an example. Do you recall what happened to Jesus the night before he was executed? Remember, after they finished their meal, they went out to the Garden of Gethsemane, and Matthew describes Jesus' position at the time, his mental disposition, as greatly troubled. And then he took Peter and James and John and he took them to the side some distance away, and he said, "Stay here." And then he said, "My spirit is deeply grieved." So why was his spirit deeply grieved? Jesus carried a weight of knowledge on his shoulders. This man knew that he was about to be arrested, and because of his ability of foreknowledge, he was able to know what he was about to experience. He knew what he was about to suffer. He knew he was going to be beaten severely. He knew he was going to be nailed to a tree. He knew all of this. That was a very, very stressful situation for him. And then Luke tells us that an angel appeared from heaven and strengthened him. So on that particular occasion, Jehovah used an angel to comfort Jesus Christ. Now, we don't know what he said. What we do know is that whatever he said and the manner in which he said it completely soothed and comforted Jesus. How do we know? Because a few minutes later, when the fellows came to arrest Jesus, Jesus said, "Come, I'm him, take me." And you watch the way that he endured his suffering until the next day, until about 3 o'clock the next day when he died. It is clear that that conversation was of great comfort to Jesus Christ. So Jehovah now is allowing us to be a comfort to you. He wants you to know that he does understand how you feel. He understands how you feel because, like you, he has lost someone who was dear to him. His only begotten son. He watched him die. He understands the emptiness that humans feel. He understands the hurt, the sadness that we feel when we're faced with this type of situation. But he also wants you to understand that, more importantly, he wants you to understand how he feels. Jehovah was a personal friend of Johnnie. One of the ways that we can tap into Jehovah's feelings on these matters is when we look at the life of Jesus. Now, I want to take you to an event. You are familiar with it. It is the event when he resurrected his dear friend Lazarus from the dead. You recall that he was some distance away from Bethany, and he informed his disciples that our friend Lazarus is ill. And then a few days later, he said to them, "Our friend Lazarus has gone to rest. I am going there to awaken him from sleep." Now, they thought that Lazarus was sleeping, but of course, subsequent conversation indicated that the man had died, and Jesus was on his way to go and raise this man from the dead. So, if you go in your Bibles with me, please, to the book of John, chapter 11, we'd just like to look at something that happened in the situation. that helps us to appreciate the personal feelings that Jehovah has for his servants. John chapter 11. We're going to pick up where Jesus meets up with Mary, one of the sisters of Lazarus. And so that takes us to verse 32. And there it says, when Mary arrived where Jesus was and caught sight of him, she fell down at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Then Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her weeping. He groaned within himself and became troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? And they said to him, Lord, come see. And verse 35 says, Jesus gave way to tears. It's about what our Heavenly Father observes and what he's been watching for thousands of years. And we know from our studies of the scriptures that he has already taken measures to correct this dying business. He has already set everything in motion. It is only a matter of time now before death comes to a complete end. So, we are here. Jehovah wants you to understand that. He wants you to remember that. He cares very, very deeply for Johnnie. And while Johnnie is dead, Johnnie is still alive in his memory. You know, after Jesus wept, the story didn't end there, did it? You recall what he did. The Bible tells us that he instructed them to move the stone away from the tomb. He called out to Lazarus. Lazarus, come out! And a few minutes later, this man comes walking out of the grave, all wrapped up in his burial cloth. Jesus resurrected him from the dead, and that is what Jehovah is going to do for Jesus, for Johnnie. He's going to bring him back to life, and not just Johnnie. In the book of John, chapter 5, verses 28 and 29, he says, don't marvel at this, because the hour is coming in which all those in the memorial tombs, everyone who is alive in God's memory, is going to be given an opportunity to live again on the earth. So, Johnnie is going to be among that crew. And when that happens, then we will really understand what the Apostle Paul meant in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 55, where he asked the question, death, where is your victory? Death, where is your sting? Both the victory and the sting will be completely removed from death, because death will cease to exist. There will come a point in the not too distant future, brothers, where no human will die. It is God's promise. And he wants you to remember that so that you can find comfort. You can find comfort in that. Verse 2 helps us to understand it a bit there. It says, better to go to the house of mourning than to the house of feasting, for it is the end of all man, and the living should take it to heart. So the reason why he says the day of one's death is better than the day of one's being born is because when you are born, your life is a blank slate. There is nothing on it. The day that you were born, you don't even have a name. You have to be given a name. And then, depending on how you live your life, you actually paint a portrait of who you are. The decisions that you make on a daily basis ultimately become the person that you are. And if you do good things, then you become a good man. And if you do bad things, you become a bad man. So that by the time your life is over, not only can your community, but more importantly, our Heavenly Father Jehovah can look at the painting that you have made of yourself and can determine what kind of a name you have with him. Now, Johnnie dedicated his life to Jehovah some 35 years ago. And Johnnie was true to his dedication. Johnnie has made a good name with God. But the second verse says that it's better for us to come to the funeral than to go to the party. Now why? It says, if you look back at that verse, it says, for that is the end of every man, and the living should take it to heart. What is the end of every man? Well, given time, every single one of us in here will die. The system of things. Unless Jehovah cut the day short, every one of us, our days are numbered. So, next week, somebody could be standing over here talking about, well, Brother Galancy was all right, you know. That's real. None of us knows what tomorrow holds. So Solomon is saying, you should take it to heart. In other words, you know, when we gather together at some of our gatherings, sometimes we have some really festive gatherings. I'll put aside the conventions now. I mean, those are just amazing. But let's say we get together to a brother's house, and like Johnnie and those did a few weeks ago, and talking old stories, and enjoying a good meal, maybe a glass of wine. You know, on those occasions, the joy and the festivity of the environment, it does not lend itself to serious personal introspection. But when your close friend dies, that sadness that you feel, that sends you someplace else. That sends you deep inside yourself. And that's a good place for us to visit. We need to visit that frequently. Why? Because that's the place where we make the important decisions about the kind of people we're going to be. That's the place where we stop and reflect on whether or not we are indeed faithful to our God. You don't make that decision when you're feasting. So Johnnie has done us a favor, hasn't he? He has given us cause to come together on a solemn occasion, and we need to reflect, each one of us needs to reflect on our own lives. What kind of decisions am I making? When you make a decision that everything that you do is going to evolve around Jehovah's rules, his regulations, his principles, what happens is you end up making really, really good decisions, smart decisions. Decisions that benefit both you and those around you, and decisions that makes Jehovah smile. Because you have not only factored it into the equation, but the whole equation of your life now revolves around our Heavenly Father. So occasions like this is not for Johnnie, it's for us. It's for us. For us to really give some thought about the road that our lives are on. So we can thank Johnnie. And if we do what is right, then of course we make Jehovah's heart glad. Right? Proverbs 27:11 tells us to be wise. Be wise. Make good decisions and make Jehovah's heart rejoice. Because when we make his heart rejoice, he is able to use us. He's able to put us on exhibition, so to speak, and say to the wicked one, see, you're wrong. You're wrong. But if we do foolishness, then how can Jehovah do that? So the second benefit for being here, brothers, is so that we can take stock. We can take personal stock. The third reason for us being here this evening has to do with this matter of hope. Now, hope is an interesting thing. It's an interesting idea. It comes from the Hebrew word kippah. Kippah. And you know what the word means? It means to wait with eager expectation. Now, hope is one of those things where if you're waiting for something, you're hoping for it, and after a short while it comes, well, once it comes, you don't have to hope anymore because now you've received what you're expecting. But some of us have been waiting for God's new world for a long time. I'm looking in the audience. I see some of you who have been serving for 6, maybe 7 decades. Maybe my eyes fail me. I don't see anybody who's been here for 8 decades. But some getting close. Some are getting close. And still, God's new world hasn't come yet. What you do not want to do, you do not want the death of a loved one to in any way darken your hope of God's new world. And grief sometimes can swallow us up, can't it? You don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that your hope of God's new world and his promises, you want to keep those bright. You want to keep them very, very sharp and in focus. Because the Bible tells us that hope is two things. Two very, very important things for us. The first thing it tells us that hope is protective headgear. Go with me, please, to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Look at verse 8 for me, please. There it says, "But as for us who belong to the day, let us keep our senses and put on the breastplate of faith and love and the hope of salvation as a helmet." So the Apostle Paul describes hope as a helmet. Now, in most cases, those of us who ride a motorcycle, or if you watch people who play football or other rough games, you will notice that they wear a helmet. It's a piece of headgear that's worn on the outside to protect what's inside the skull. But hope is just the opposite. Hope is worn on the inside. It's worn in the mind. And what it does is it protects you and the whole body and even your future. So the apostle says that hope, that's the helmet of salvation. Don't lose your hope. Keep your hope bright, because that's going to save you. The second thing the Apostle Paul says is that, well, it's something else. This time, let's go to the book of Hebrews. Flip over to Hebrews chapter 6, please. Hebrews chapter 6, look at verse 19. The apostle says, "We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, both sure and firm, and it enters in within the curtain." So the second thing that the apostle says is hope as an anchor. Now, if you've ever been fishing, you know how important an anchor is. You get over a drop of fish, you need to set that anchor so that the boat doesn't move, the boat doesn't drift. So anchors will stop us from drifting. And it's very important, brothers, because grief is one of those things that can drift. You know, grief will play tricks on your mind. It'll play tricks on your mind. So you want to keep your hope alive. You want to make sure that your anchor is firmly set so that you're not drifting. And one of the things we're doing here today is we're reminding each other of this hope. Jehovah has made promises of a new world where every human being will live in perfection. The resurrection is going to play an important part. Brothers, that's just beyond the horizon. As we watch developments around the world, we know that we are getting closer and closer. And Jesus instructs us that when we see it happening, don't be shaken. Don't be shaken. He says, no, I expect to see your whole bearing change. He says, lift yourselves up, hold yourself up erect. I'm coming to save you. It is very close. Make sure that your hope is strong. Make sure that it is firmly anchored in God's promises of truth. Because Jehovah will not disappoint us. So Johnnie will live again. You know, I got to share something with you. On Monday evening, I was at the kitchen counter cutting up some vegetables for our dinner. And my wife exclaimed, "Oh no!" And I said, "What happened?" She said, "Johnnie died." I said, "Who, Johnnie?" She said, "Johnnie Smith." So I didn't know if it was true. You got to consider the source, right? So I went to my phone. And you know, the elders have a WhatsApp page, and I turned to the WhatsApp page, and sure enough, Brother Young had indicated that yes, it was true, that Johnnie had passed away. Brothers, I put down my stuff. I rented America. I didn't come up for the rest of the night. Didn't come up for the rest of it. I can't tell you that. The next morning, I was driving, still deep in that funk. I was driving, and I remember an incident that Johnnie and I were involved in. And I started a piece of laughing. I had to pull my car to the side of the road because the tears, you know when you laugh, you don't know how Johnnie would laugh, right? And I could almost hear Johnnie's voice in the back and he said, "Gladys, what's wrong with you, boy? Pick yourself up, man, let's go. We got work to do." So, I want to tell you, brothers, remember the laughter. Remember the good times you had with Johnnie. You know, when you see Johnnie again, the next time you see him, it will be in God's new world. And I can imagine now, whoever's the first person to explain to Johnnie, pull you back to life. You joking. You joking. No, Johnnie, he was dead. You serious? Brianna, you serious? And I was dead for true. I went to sleep. I lay back on the couch waiting for you to bring me back the Pepto-Bismol, and I gone to sleep. Brothers, he's not suffering. This suffering is over. Rejoice in the memory of Johnnie. Keep that alive. Don't linger too long in this grief. Don't linger too long in this grief. That's not a good place to be. It won't be long before we see him again. And so, we're going to keep you in our prayers and in our thoughts. I think two of the elders who we serve. Brothers, you'll see Johnnie again. Don't be consumed with this grief. May you continue to find comfort from one another, from the extended family and friends of the congregation. Like King David, allow your soul, allow your very being to be fondled and caressed by the promises of God's word. Keep meditating on what Jehovah says. The day will come when that sting will be gone forever. In due course, it will come. Above all things, brothers, when you find yourself going into that dark place, when you find yourself overcome by grief, then pour your heart out to your Heavenly Father, Jehovah. He supplies comfort. He knows what to do. He could send you. You ever notice how you could be in a situation where things are very, very difficult and you pray, and all of a sudden you feel better? All of you know that. Your circumstances hasn't changed, but you feel better. You know what that is? Ask Holy Spirit, doing what Holy Spirit does. So when you find yourself drifting into that sad, dark place, pray to Jehovah, pour out your heart, allow him to comfort you, because he's made the promise that he will. And then, wait patiently. Wait patiently until not only Johnnie, but the billions of those now dead come back to life again, and we can all continue to worship and praise our God Jehovah forever.